So today we're going to be doing coding problem 3.2.3, which uses the values of two different variables, rating and age, to determine whether or not a child is allowed to see a specific movie. Alright? We can see there are 5 different ratings that are possible, G through NC-17, and that age is important to some of these movie rating conditions. So because we have a lot of different options for our code with our ratings, the range of ratings we could have and the range of ages we could have, we have a lot of different conditions, right, that could possibly occur, which means we're going to deal with the logic of this problem using conditional statements that are linked together in a conditional family. All right? So I'm going to run through this problem with you, going through the logic of how to solve it, but I'm also going to make a lot of common mistakes that we're seeing with students in this problem. We'll run the code, take a look at the errors we've made, and then correct it so you can see the process of debugging in this problem. So, we're dealing with a family of conditional statements, which all start with if. So we want to specify the first condition that could be possible when encountering this movie, all right? Which is going to be the rating system. It's going to be one of these 5 possibilities. So we can say if rating equals G. All right. Remember, in Python, data is case sensitive. So students have made small mistakes, minor errors, by putting lowercase letters where in fact it has to be the exact case, the exact way it's written in the problem. So if rating is equal to G, so the instructions of the homework specifically say not to use the AND operator. All right. So just keep that in mind as we begin this problem. But if rating is equal to G, any child is allowed to see that movie, right? So their age is irrelevant to this conditional statement. So if rating is equal to G, remember we want to print either one of these two statements. Either you're allowed to see the movie or you're not allowed. So when our code runs, we want one of these statements to print, right? And in this case, if the rating is equal to G, any child is allowed to see it, right? So let's continue on our conditional family with an ELIF statement. So if the rating is equal to PG, and now we have to deal with the age. And this is where not using the AND operator becomes important. So you can't say something like, hey, ELIF rating equals PG and the child is 8 or older. To deal with this, we're going to use nested conditional statements. So within the ELIF statement for PG, we're going to have another conditional that deals specifically with the age, right? So here, ELIF rating equals PG. So if the rating of the movie is equal to PG, if age is greater than 8, then we'll print that statement. Because if they're 8 or older, their age is going to be greater than 8. Here, we can use an else statement, and we can print this line like this. We use an else instead of an ELIF because if the condition is something other than what's specified in this if statement, then they're not allowed in the movie anyway, right? No matter what it is. So if the age is not greater than 8, it's going to be less than 8, which is why we can capture the other conditions of this statement all under else. Note that I have made an error in this statement right here. And we'll come back to that after we run this code. Alright, using similar logic, we can run through the rest of our ratings. So if it's a PG-13 movie, they have to be 13 or older, right? Else, oops. Make sure to pay attention to your levels of indentation when you're building these nested families. So if age is greater than 17 for an R rating, we're just building this the same way. Else, they are not allowed to see the movie. Alright, finally, we get to NC-17. The instructions say your child may never see an NC-17 movie, which means under this conditional, the only thing we will be printing is you may not see that movie. There is no condition that would be true in order for you to print you may see that movie under the conditional for NC-17. Alright, so let's run this code and see what happens. Like I said, we got a few errors in there, and while it's running, we can go over it. The first, like I said, has to deal with how I set up this line, the mathematical operators I'm using. And as you can see, that occurs multiple times. But here is the most common mistake that I've encountered for students in this problem, if rating equals G. So we have two different equals signs that we use in Python, the single and double, and they're used for different things. In this statement, we're making a comparison, right? We're comparing the value of rating, the variable, to this character that we specify. In comparison operators, we always use double equal signs. Single equal signs are for assignment, when you assign the value of a variable. So equals equals, just like that. The second problem is make sure to really think about your mathematical operators. Your child must be 8 or older. Since 8 is included, we want to do greater than or equal to. And I know that seems like a pretty small mistake, but students make it all the time, and even a mistake that small can screw up the rest of your code and the logic of it, so you really have to pay attention to mathematical operators, alright? So in this case, if the age is equal to 8, or if it's greater than 8, then do this. Otherwise, and this is why we use else again, otherwise in any other condition, and the only other possibility would be if it's less than 8, right? That's why we can use else, then we print you may not see that movie. So, we should be good to go. We're going to run our code. But remember, when we build conditional families, we want to follow our if statements with elif like this. But when we're nesting, notice we begin with if as well, because if is the beginning of a conditional family. Oh, we have one error. Let's see. You may not use that movie, or see that movie. Line 46, here we go. Just forgot to put a print statement in there. Let's run that one more time just to make sure we did everything correctly. But this is how we use conditional statements to manipulate our given variables and organize them logically. Still waiting. And notice also that the AND operator, the logic of the AND operator is what we used the nested conditionals for. But the same logic would be if you said LF rating equals PG and age is greater than or equal to 8. But it's very good, very useful to know nested conditionals like this. And we get, you may not see that movie because rating was R but age was 15. So it executes this statement, LF rating equals R, and it executes the else statement and prints this line right here.